Okay, you just watched a video about collapsing rules, shifting alliances, and the rise of raw power in global politics. It was fast, intense, maybe even overwhelming. So now, we're going to pause, take a breath, and break it down one theme at a time. What does international law even mean? What happens when countries stop playing by the rules? And why should you care? Let's unpack it together. Since World War II, countries have followed a set of shared rules, treaties, agreements, courts, all designed to keep the peace. It's called a rules-based international order, and yeah, it's far from perfect, but without it, chaos. So what happens when powerful countries start breaking the rules, ignoring court rulings, undermining alliances? This is where things begin to crack. Let's take another look at the first scene. Watch closely. What do you notice about how the narrator talks about rules, trust, and power?
Are the rules that keep our world in order crumbling before our eyes? Let's explore the crisis in international law and what it means for you. International law is the set of rules and principles that govern how countries interact. Think of it as the global constitution, designed to prevent conflict and promote cooperation. It covers everything from trade and human rights to environmental protection and the laws of war.
So here's the question. What wins, the law or force? International law only works if powerful countries agree to follow it. But what happens when they don't? Who holds them accountable? Who steps in when they cross the line? And combo, what if they say they had no choice? This scene looks at the tension between power and principle, and how sometimes law becomes just a suggestion. Let's watch the next part of the episode. As you do, think, where does power speak louder than rules?
Without it, we risk a world where might makes right, where powerful nations can act with impunity and where the vulnerable are left unprotected. We're seeing a worrying trend of nations disregarding international law, territorial disputes and trade wars to human rights violations and breaches of international agreements. The evidence is mounting.
So what happens when countries stop caring about the bigger picture? When they say, we'll handle this ourselves, our nation first, the rest of the world, not our problem. That's nationalism. It's not always a bad thing, but when taken to the extreme, it can shake the foundations of global cooperation fast. This scene dives into that mindset, how countries pull back from alliances, and what it means when self-interest takes the lead. Let's take a look. As you watch, ask yourself, is this about protection or isolation?
The rise of nationalism and populism in many countries has fueled a reluctance to cooperate internationally and a willingness to prioritize national interests above global norms. This erodes the collective commitment needed to uphold international law. The breakdown of international law has direct consequences for global security. It creates a climate of uncertainty and mistrust, increasing the risk of conflict and instability.
Laws don't just exist on paper. They need institutions to back them up, courts, councils, alliances. But here's the thing. Even the strongest institutions can crack under pressure, especially when powerful actors stop listening. What happens when international courts are ignored? When alliances lose trust? When the rulemakers stop showing up? This scene shows what that breakdown can look like. Quiet at first, then dangerous. Watch closely. How are the institutions portrayed? Do they feel strong or sidelined?
In Europe, this can manifest as increased tensions between nations, a rise in extremism, and a weakening of the institutions that have maintained peace for decades. The ripple effects can impact everything from trade and travel to security and social cohesion. How does the rapidly changing global situation impact us, European citizens? The implications of this breakdown extend far beyond borders. We see the impact in the lives of ordinary people, economic hardship, social fragmentation, and a growing sense of insecurity. As conflicts escalate, so does the tension within communities, often leading to divisive politics and polarization.
When the rules break and the institutions weaken, what comes next? Insecurity, fear, and often conflict. We're talking about more than just borders. This is about trust between nations, safety for civilians, and the future of global cooperation. And when instability rises, it spreads. From war zones, to refugee crises, to economic shocks, no one stays untouched. Let's look at this next scene. What signs of insecurity do you notice? And what questions does it leave you with?
In Europe, this shift has sparked fear and uncertainty. Populist movements and nationalism are on the rise, challenging the values of unity and cooperation, values that were hard-won in the aftermath of previous global conflicts. The fabric of what it means to be part of the European community is being tested. Yet in the face of these challenges, citizens have the power to make a difference. Engaging in civic activities, speaking out for responsible governance, and fostering community solidarity are crucial. Every voice matters in the discussion about our future.
So now you've seen it. What happens when the rules begin to crack? When law becomes optional? When power goes unchecked? When trust between nations starts to fade? But this isn't just about headlines or history books. It's about you and the world you're going to live in. Because here's the truth. These systems, they're human-made, which means they can be rebuilt. So what role will you play? Lawmaker? Activist? Observer? Critic? Your next step starts now. Think, question, debate, and most importantly, imagine something better.
Understanding our roles in this complex landscape is more important than ever. By staying informed, we empower ourselves to demand accountability from our leaders. We express our values through our choices and actions. Every voice matters. By staying informed, engaged, and active, we can contribute to a more just and peaceful world where international law is respected and upheld.